I was ready,
B.W.O. 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 Brothers with opinions, now we spreading the word. In this world, things get hard cause we've been blinded by ignorance, man. Fear the unknown to progress is a hindrance. Silence is consent, so let your voices be heard. Man, we brothers with opinions, now we spreading the word. Bringing light to the dark, revolution is an art. Man, a lot of people talk, but they ain't never walked apart. Gotta shine a light on poverty and fight against injustice. And always speak the truth when the enemy.
All right, man, I think we are, Chris.
All right.
I can't see myself.
I see you, though.
But do you see me?
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with my computer. I don't know why it did it to me last time. But if you can see me, I guess we're good.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Live. So introduce us, Chris. Hit it off. Set it off.
They know what time it is, man. It's your boy Tony and Tuck, man. We back here with you Thursday. It's early in November, but before you know it, it'll be Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, man. Time goes by fast. And we're going to get right into it tonight with local sports, of course, talking about the Hanley-James Wood game. Skyline and Zaydon over there going for 2,000-plus yards, and everything else in between from Sharando, Millbrook, Warren County, Clark County, and Strasburg. So we'll get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. And later on, actually in about 10 minutes, we're going to have a special guest over from Arizona, Mr. Chris West. You know, he does a lot for the community, both over there in California, even down in Winchester.
Right.
And yeah, he's on the go. He's on the move. And we'll let him talk about himself when he jumps on. But in the meantime, Tony, go ahead and run this shit like Zaydon. Let's get it.
All right, guys. Local scores from last week in our area. Skyline defeated Meridian 43-33. Hanley defeated
And what Zaydon
James
do in that game?
Rushed for like 400 and some yards or something crazy like that. Yeah, we'll shout him out. We'll get there. Let me run through this. Hanley defeated James Wood 35-23. Kettle, of course, won by forfeit because we all know Banana threw in their season forfeit. Warren County 42-0. Strasburg destroyed Madison County 55-13. Clark County lost to Luray 36-13. And Central beat Page County 41-12. On to West Virginia. We don't want to forget about our friends over there. Musselman defeated Washington 44-0. Hedgesville beat Dominion 21-13. And Spring Mill beat Pendleton County, I believe is who that is. I didn't look at it. I'm going to have to fact check that. But then East Hardy lost 8-7. And who else we got? Oh shoot, I forgot Liberty and Millbrook. Because they played on, well, I think Millbrook and Liberty played Saturday. They say it was Thursday night, but Liberty beat Millbrook 28-7, which to me is a shocker. And Sharando beat Fauquier 55-7. So on to this week's games, and we'll shout out Zaydon because I know you're all about that. But Skyline plays Warren County this week. Jameswood plays Fauquier. Liberty goes to Sharando. Brentsville plays Kettle Run, and Hanley plays Millbrook. You know, of course, on Saturday. And tonight there is actually a game, Madison County and Clark County. There's a game tonight.
Nice.
And then West Virginia, you got Hedgesville plays Spring Mills, Jefferson plays Washington, Musselman plays Morgantown. And then what's funny is Martinsburg plays on Saturday as well at home against Hurricane. So there's your local scores, games. Shout out to Zaydon. He's about to beat the state record. He's like, what, number 2 in the state? Maybe number 1 right now. I haven't looked.
He's number 2 in the state in total rushing yards.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole state. Doesn't matter if you're single, double, triple, all the way to 6A.
Right. So he's going into he's at is he at 2,000 yards yet?
He's just under it. He's just, about 18 something. He's almost at 1,900. So he'll probably get over 100 yards in the first quarter of this game coming up against Warren County.
Right.
But he has a chance to finish in the top 10 of all time in single season rushing record for the state. Marcus Vick is like number 7. There's some good players on that list, but
right.
Yeah, man. You know, we had Zaydon on going into his freshman year, and here he is in his junior year, and he's living what we said. He's going to be the best. But
Hey,
yeah,
man.
I wish him well, man. I hope he crushes it. And they started out bad, right? And they've won 6 in a row, dude. And they're going to the
Mm-hmm.
playoffs.
Right.
Big
Yeah.
Dre and
So.
all of them, they've been over there balling. Haley at quarterback. Yeah, Skyline's been since they lost to Hanley damn near. They played well.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yep. So, man,
And then
hey,
Hanley's playing against Millbrook, and Millbrook is the only losing record that's ranked in the top 10 in the state.
right.
Or in the
Well, not in the
in the
state,
region.
like the region or whatever, however they do it. Yeah. Because let me go to those. I think I saved those rankings. Because you got. Let me find. Here we go. Hanley at 1, because this is the Region 4D. Then Danville, George Washington, Danville's 2. Jefferson Forest 3rd. Then Sharando, Jameswood, Liberty, Millbrook, Blacksburg.
And then it cuts off because the rest of the team.
Because that's who will make the play. Yeah. So as of now, yeah, Millbrook will make it as a 3-6 team in the playoffs,
Which is crazy because all the other teams have winning records.
which I don't get, but it's whatever. So without further ado, let's get this man on. He probably wants to watch the game tonight. So it's ready to get Chris West on. We're going to talk government shutdown, elections, all that good stuff. Whatever we get into, you know how we do it. So let's welcome Chris West
Yes,
onto
sir.
the show. Chris, you hear us? Uh-oh, hold on. You're muted.
There we go.
There you are. There you are. That was probably my fault.
That's my fault. I think it had to be great setup you guys have, man. I like being in the backstage in the green room here. Yeah.
Oh, you like that? You like? We're like Jimmy Kimmel or something, waiting in the green room to get. Hey, Chris, welcome on. Back on the show. This is your second time. You was on a year ago or something.
Like
And,
3 years ago, man. Time
something
flies.
like that. It does. Yeah.
I feel like Saturday Night Live. You know, you got to start counting the number of appearances that you get.
Well, we appreciate you, man, because you're a big supporter of it. Ever since we started, you were like one of the first ones to reach out and say you listened and love the show and everything. I love it, man. But
great. You guys do.
Thank you. So speak on yourself, Chris. You're on here. It's your platform now. You're our guest. So toot your horn a little bit. What you do. It's pretty interesting. Your background and what you do now.
So let's see. I graduated Hanley in '97. Went off to George Mason University for a year. Then went out to University of Arizona for a year. Then went to Arizona State my junior and senior year. So kudos to the Sun Devils for winning the Big 12 championship last year and actually having a pretty good team here this year despite a number of injuries. Moved back to Winchester, worked in the Winchester Circuit Court for a couple of years, and went down to Richmond, worked in the Virginia Attorney General's office, went to Washington, D.C., and worked for Fort Allen as a United States Senator for about 2 years. And then after that, I kind of got out on my own, started doing government relations work, public affairs work, and have been doing that now at a firm I helped co-found back in 2008, 2009. So I guess I'm 16, 17 years into this firm here. So we do 3 main areas of focus. We do local government relations, so controversial local land use decisions, all the stuff nobody wants in their backyard, cell towers, transmission lines, data centers right now, power plants, all that sort of fun stuff. We help developers get those over the finish line and get them entitled, get their zoning entitlements for them at the local level. We direct state government lobbying. And then we do federal public affairs work. So we go out into congressional districts and help connect individuals, business owners, chambers of commerce, associations, organizations, nonprofits with their elected leaders in Congress. They'll help set up meetings between them and staff members in D.C., sometimes fly them to D.C. for meetings, engage on issues that impact them personally or their business or their families, either negatively or positively. We're on both sides of issues. So, it's fun. Never the same thing twice. My parents both in Winchester, worked the same job, same time clock, same door for over 40 years. So my life's a little bit more hectic, a little bit more different than that generation. So,
Right.
Happy to be here and happy to talk about the election. Shutdown, if you want to talk about that too.
Well, Chris, what do you want to start on with the election? Well, see, I got two Chris's here, so I'm going to be like Tucker. So let's just jump into because the results came out. We were supposed to talk about this last week before the results. Yeah. So in Virginia, everyone knows Spanberger won for governor, and everybody's all up in arms about that. So
and only 2 states voted for governor, right, Chris?
Right. So Virginia is it's kind of an oddball across the country. Virginia and New Jersey are the only states that hold elections each and every year. So in Virginia, you never have a November where you are not going and voting at your local precinct. So in years like this, we had the 3 statewide races: the governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general. We had all 100 members of our House of Delegates up. Next year, in the even years, you'll have our 11 congressmen in Virginia up, as well as Senator Warner will also be on the ballot. And then if you jump ahead to 2027, all 100 members of the House of Delegates will be back up again, plus the Virginia State Senate will also be up. You have 40 members in the Virginia State Senate. Plus, again, you'll have a number of local elections, your board of supervisors, a lot of your constitutional officers, everybody from your dog catchers will be on up at the local level. And then 2028, we'll be right back voting for president again, and another 100 members of Congress and senators across the country as well. So it's never a dull electoral moment in Virginia, and we certainly had a big election here a couple days ago. So as I've told folks, there's political pendulums. Virginia is a purple state. Most folks think it's pretty bright blue right now for sure. Most of the time, you have a political pendulum sort of swing back and forth, but I think that was more of a political wrecking ball that came through Virginia on Tuesday, because Democrats just absolutely dominated Republicans up and down the ticket. Even at a number of local elections in the state, you saw localities that haven't voted, for a Democrat governor in 40 years, 50 years, 60 years turn voting. So a lot's changing in Virginia.
Right, and I think it's great, honestly, because finally, you touched on this, Chris, when we talked on the phone about how it just depends on what's on the ballot, for people to what to vote on and how people will show up and turn out. Which to me, you should vote regardless, whatever's on the back, because then shit like this happens. The way the position we're in right now, in my opinion. But like you said, everybody turned out. That I saw the poll. Like some of them, it was like just dominant, like record numbers. I get, a landslide almost, pretty much. A lot of this.
For gubernatorial rates, yes. It's typically the highest turnout races are always going to be your presidential years. I mean, for the most part, everybody's pretty good about showing up and voting when the president and vice president are on the ballot. And then, of course, that year, down ticket, you have United States Senate races, congressional races as well. That really is the ultimate driver. You see a lot of states trying to sync up their gubernatorial elections with the presidential election. And that's intentional, again, because they know they're getting more folks to turn out for the polls. Therefore, you got a higher number of people in your state that are also showing up to vote in gubernatorial elections. You have an election, election cycles like you do in Virginia each and every year. It definitely ebbs and flows. So if you look at, the turnout numbers compared to what Trump and Harris got, I think Harris got 2.3 million votes in 2024 for the presidential election. Well, you saw Abigail Spanberger absolutely dominated our election here on Tuesday. She only got 1.9 million votes. So you had 500,000 Virginians that came out and voted for Kamala Harris that didn't come out and vote for Abigail Spanberger. And again, you kind of scratch your head like, well, gosh, why wouldn't you just come out and vote in this election as well? But that's kind of the drop off that you get for these elections. Then again, that also trickles down to your local supervisors, city and county councils, and sheriff, commissioner, revenue, and all those sort of races as well. It really dictates what's at the top of the ticket is that big driver for turnout.
Right, and my thing is, and this, both of you, like the local level is the most important. And people don't turn it, like you said, it's like, well, the president, it's time to vote for the president, but it's steps. So your local level, it starts at your local level everywhere. And people don't realize that that's the most important if you want to go into that, a little bit, being on the local level. And
I would say that's where I think it's really changed over the past 10 years. They say all politics is local, but it certainly isn't reflected in voter turnouts. But I think just issues right now, everyone's just so hypersensitive, hyper emotional over just about everything. You see the activity at the local level is absolutely exploded exponentially, especially over the past decade. And that might be a couple of things. One, that might be the Donald Trump effect, right? I mean, he seems to get everybody on both sides of the aisle sort of pissed off or engaged. It's also probably a product of social media. News travels a heck of a lot faster now. It disseminates out to a heck of a lot more people now quicker. So folks can organize much more quickly around even the most hyper-local issues. Things that typically move through a board of supervisors in just a matter of weeks, whereas stuff in Congress, it takes years to get through, right? I mean, they're slow as hell at the federal level. So you've got but at the local level, things move a lot faster. The product of social media, folks have been able to organize. You got apps like Nextdoor, right, that get people together in a particular neighborhood or a particular community organized. Obviously, you've got Facebook and all that it brings to the table as well. And you've got X and Instagram and all those TikTok, all of those things now that are connecting us in more ways than we've ever been connected. And we really see, voter participation, and not just at the polls, but throughout the years, the controversial, decisions that are being made at the local level. I mean, you guys are both involved in sports. I mean, right now the whole debate over boys and girls locker rooms and boys participating in girls sports, right? That's really a local issue, a local level issue for the most part. It's not at the school board level, the board level. And it's got folks emotionally charged, right? And they're out and they're talking about it. They're marching on their local board of supervisors, their local school board meetings. We never used to see people show up at a school board meeting.
Right.
No one was there. They can't even tell you who was on the school board. And I'll tell you, I mean, there's the big political fights right now are electing those people to these school boards all across the country because of issues, like that. You see what happened in Fairfax County. The school administrators have been accused of, I think, assisting a student getting an abortion without her parents knowing. I mean, all of that stuff, again, just drives really the hyper-local activity, not just here in Virginia, but certainly across the country right now. So.
Right. And also what I saw is that a lot of younger voters went out as well. This election, like they said, the demographic was very 19 to 39, what they consider young.
Man, yeah. Most folks, you look at the breakdown in age brackets and voter participation, it absolutely skews to older voters. And why is that? Well, when you're older, you got more to lose, right? You're more engaged and you're more involved.
Right.
Versus when you're young, you're not really thinking about your income tax rate. You're not really thinking about local zoning issues. You're not really thinking about whatever the next business regulation or piece of legislation that's going through your state legislature or the federal government. Those things are on your mind. You're worried about where you're heading out to this Friday night.
Right.
Are you going to work overtime this week or whatever it might be, or do you have a test in class? So priorities certainly change as you get older, but it's great to see. And whether that's the effect of maybe mentioning it, maybe a Charlie Kirk effect, right? And the engagement that he had and some of the stuff that he was doing at the collegiate level and high school level. But it is just great to see generally across the board young people getting more involved and paying more attention. It's awesome.
Right.
It's because, like you said, social media is a huge factor. I think they didn't realize, the people that control it, as great as it is, they didn't realize how much it would backfire on them. For all of us to be able to see and share information so quickly, and they can say what they want about it not being true. It's right there in front of our eyes, and these young kids are seeing it. And then with the schools and the graduations and everybody, especially a lot of the big universities, but just in college in general, they're getting in trouble and getting arrested, right, for speaking their mind, and whether it's overseas things and with Gaza and everything else, right? But these kids can see everything, and they're all uniting together. So even up here in New York, they crushed with Mamdani. But I don't even think it was going to be a question as far as that part, that he was going to win. Yeah. Because you're going against a whole young generation and population. And what's happening in this country right now, Chris, is very different than what we grew up on with ICE and everything else, like right in front of our faces.
Absolutely.
The young generation is really about the revolution.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They're seeing it now, more firsthand than necessarily through the eyes of their parents, right, or through the issues that their parents might be. Now they're seeing it more directly and more firsthand, these younger generations. So I think it's a great thing that they're getting involved.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing, is they're being directly affected now.
Because they can all relate and see now. So now that they can talk and speak out their issues together, right or wrong, but just try to understand and learn, Now, like Chris said, you can start committees and whatever you need to in your own neighborhood and the whole city and whatever. The whole damn country can do it, right? No
Right.
King's Days or whatever else they're doing, but that's because of social media. And now the young people can all see what's really happening.
Yeah, you don't need $1 million to join, to form a coalition. You basically need a Facebook account. So it's really leveled, sort of the competition, if you will, out there among competing, coalitions and competing groups. So it's given really a lot of power, at the hands of just any individual who pretty much just has the time to sort of put a Facebook page together, or put a page together, or an Instagram page together, or start a TikTok, or like you guys, right? And starting a podcast. Podcasts are huge right now. So that's just I don't know about your all's Facebook feed, but in my Facebook feed, I mean, I get 30 or 40 every single day, podcast updates, new podcast. So it's a great outlet for folks, to find other individuals that, share their positions, share their outlook, and a great way to get a big following really quick.
Right. So, Chris, who won? I haven't looked it up. That's my fault, and I'm sure Chris didn't either. The Attorney General and Lieutenant General in Virginia.
Yes, Lieutenant Governor.
Because we didn't vote for that here. Like you said, that's Jersey and Virginia, right?
Right.
Yeah, Virginia, New Jersey. Yeah, the Democrats won on those two races as well. At the Attorney General level, it was a gentleman by the name of Jay Jones. He's been in the news quite a bit over the past couple of weeks. That was talked about an October surprise. Now it's more or less a September surprise here in Virginia, early voting in Virginia, which starts in September. So usually, when everyone voted in November, the opposing campaign would wait until the middle of October, right? That last week of October to drop the best dirt they had against, their candidate, right? And that would give stick, and there wouldn't be enough time for the candidate to respond, and that's what everyone would think about when they go in and vote in November. Well, now you've got early voting in Virginia, and we start voting in the middle of September. So now they move up all that great dirt they find on folks at the beginning of the year. So Jay Jones had some dirt come out on him about a couple of texts that he sent a couple of years ago about wanting to kill the Speaker of the House in Virginia and kill his children and have his wife watch his children die. And yeah, it was some pretty out there stuff, but had little impact. Had little impact. So he certainly didn't get as many votes as Abigail Spanberger did, but Abigail won by such a massive total at the top of the ticket that he was able to sort of ride those coattails and beat Jason Mieres, who's the current Attorney General here in Virginia. And then State Senator Hashmi, who chaired the Education Committee in the state Senate, she won the Lieutenant Governor's race. That's really kind of a non-follower race too. You sort of belong for the ride at the LG race. LG in Virginia, for the most part, is a ceremonial position, other than the fact that they get to bring tie-breaking votes in the state Senate. Aside from that, they really have no role of responsibility. Very small staff, don't get paid hardly anything at all in Commonwealth of Virginia. Again, other than breaking tie breaks in the state Senate, there's really no authority or power that the Lieutenant Governors hold here in the state. So AG and Governor certainly are the big two here.
See, man, I love it. See, you got all this info, man. I'm learning a lot of stuff right now. He's just like, it's just a title. That's it. They got no power.
It is. Back when I was working at Attorney General, each one about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I think the Lieutenant Governor of Virginia made like $30,000 a year. He only had like a 2-person staff. So you compare that with the governor who's making 6 figures and he's appointing, half a dozen folks to cabinet positions who are also making, mid 6 figures, and then they've got 50 people underneath each one of them, and they're overseeing departments with hundreds or even thousands of employees. That's for the powers that. And the Attorney General's office, 500-600 attorneys in Virginia as well, and support staff too. So again, you got it's Virginia's biggest law firm for the most part. So again, it's a really powerful position there in the Attorney General's office. And Lieutenant Governor, for the most part, is a stepping stone. You're Lieutenant Governor, you won, you're statewide, you're technically second in charge, technically, and that sort of sets her up in Virginia to run in 4 years for governor. Because, sure, as you probably know, in Virginia, we can't have a governor reelected. They're constitutionally restricted to simply one term. So that's why you've never had a 2-term governor in Virginia. So you'll see, Senator Hatchkin will I guess her and Jay Jones, they're going to have to battle it out. See who goes next for governor.
Now, are we the only state that does that? You can't run again. It's one term. Is Jersey the same?
No, Jersey's not the same way. I think Chris Christie served at least, I think, 2 terms up there as governor. Didn't he, Chris? You might.
Yeah, he sucked. He sucked, but he did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I that's a great question, Tony. I would guess that we are the only one. Maybe there is a second or third one out there, but it is very unique that we do not permit our governor to run for re-election.
Yeah, I mean, I get it's good in a way, I guess. Yeah, so yeah, that's different.
Yeah, in my experience in state government, I mean, I'd say if there is sort of a negative aspect to it, you got 2 kinds of people, in my opinion, that work for the state. You've got folks that are political appointees, right, that are in there at the most for 4 years. Most of them come in 6 months into administration or start the administration, and then they kind of leave around year 3. That they're certainly gone, by the middle of year 3. They know that they're not going to stick around in year 4 or 5.
Right.
So you got those folks in there, and what do they? They don't get a whole bunch of stuff accomplished, right? Because they kind of know that their time's limited. But then you have your state employees that also don't do a whole heck of a lot. Either a lot of them, in my experience, and they sort of know that they've got a job for life, and they're likely not going to get fired. Government's certainly not going to shrink, and all combined, you've got 2 groups of people that don't accomplish really a whole lot of stuff. So,
well, I love it. You're just being so candid. You're just like, dude, they don't do nothing. I love it.
They do, but
title for most of them.
Government could be, and all government, local, state, and federal, could be a hell of a lot more efficient than it is. But it just simply isn't. It's a beast, sort of its in and of its own. So.
Oh, okay. Thank you. One of our fans just let us know that Connecticut, Idaho, Illinois, Iowa, Massachusetts, Minnesota, New Hampshire, New York, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Washington, and Wisconsin
are what
is 1 term.
I know Texas. Yeah, because Governor Abbott's been there for a couple of terms in Texas. So I know Texas for sure is not a single state. But it says not necessarily 1 term though.
Yeah, no. So
it might be limited to 2 terms. A lot of states might be limited to 2 or maybe 3. But 1. Ask ChatGPT.
But it's like you say, adding on it, it's a good and a bad thing. It's like you say, if somebody's working on something, whatever they're trying to implement some law or do anything, it's like you say, they give up after 3, because they know they're going to be out. But if they knew they were running for another term, I guess, and everybody loved them or hated them, however it goes. But yeah, they just stopped caring, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. So another Virginia, we run on a 2-year budget cycle, right? So Abigail Spanberger just got elected. So every other year in Virginia, we have what's called a long session, and we have a short session. So this upcoming legislative session is, quote unquote, a long session because we're going to be discussing the budget, the 2-year budget that they'll pass. Well, Abigail Spanberger just got elected 2 days ago, and our state general assembly is going to convene the 2nd Wednesday in January, and she's going to have to present a budget between now and then. So here she is, a brand new governor, just got elected, and she's already heading literally her first day in office. She's going to get inaugurated and turn around and have a general assembly session where her priorities as governor, right, are going to have to, be lobbied for amongst the general assembly that we haven't even got here. But mentioned, you got 13 new members. You got 65-35 now Democratic majority in the House of Delegates, 21-19 Democratic majority in the state Senate. But just again. To your point, Tony, it's really tough. One of the detriments of having a single-term governor, you don't have much time to kind of put your stamp, on it, sort of, what you want to do and your priorities and get those things through. Because again, you're coming in immediately, you're going into a budget year. Really, only get 2 budgets during your 4-year term, so it's difficult to sort of leave your mark, if you will, on the Commonwealth and
Right. Yeah. So, Chris, you got any questions? Or Tucker, I'm talking to. You got any more questions about these local elections? Because Tucker don't vote. He don't believe in it, Chris, at all. He don't vote. It's all rigged, according to him.
The local things, to me, could matter somewhat, but to me, overall, it doesn't matter. So, yes, all these things kind of do matter to a certain extent, but what we've always said, and it's way before Donald was in the office of president, whatever, but I've got the Trump card. I've got the Trump card. Where now the country really does have the Trump card, and Trump is going to trump anything that these people think they're going to do.
But Chris, I try to tell you, like, to me, this election here, Virginia and New Jersey, on the governor, that proves to me, power in numbers, right?
But New
Like,
York didn't
what
have a
people say,
governor vote.
yeah, not New York, but I'm just saying, you get out and vote. To me, it makes a difference. I mean, I know some of it's probably set up, whatever. I don't know, Chris, he can speak on that.
I think our political office is ran by Israel. So at the end of the day, a lot of people don't understand and realize what I'm saying about that. But we don't control a lot. They're controlling us.
Yeah, I see where you're at. I think
Chris, what do you think about that? Because even Tony probably doesn't understand all of it. But do you have any thoughts on what I just said?
I mean, I'll tell you that is a couple of things on that, Tugger. I mean, one, few people were talking about that. More people are now starting to talk about that now. That was really something, I think, for a long period here in the country, and really up until maybe this past year even, was a topic you just weren't supposed to talk about. But there are certainly a number of theories out there right now, and there are a lot of folks that think very similar to you, and they're becoming more vocal about it. And you'll see, there's a big increase. As soon as you bring something like that up, of course, you're labeled, anti-Semitic or a certain individual.
Right,
yeah.
So it's certainly a debate now that's coming a lot more to the forefront. People are actually starting to talk about it, which again, they have not talked about that. It was, you can see on the Republican side, Marjorie Taylor Greene is someone that's now speaking out a lot about that. Half the Republican Party or all the Republican Party, on the Israel goal, and they all just do whatever Israel tells them to do. And why are we giving, $30 billion every single year to this?
Yeah, with APAC. And look, here's the thing I'll say too, Chris, is there's a right wing and a left wing. So I don't care about the red and the blue and all that. To me, it's a bigger version of so-called Bloods and Crips, red and blue. And earlier you mentioned the color of purple, which is my favorite color, but I do know that if you mix red and blue, you get purple. Now, did you say that for a certain reason, or why did you say purple?
Well, they're called purple states. Those states that they kind of swing back and forth, that you really don't know if it's definitively a Republican state or a Democrat. I mean, California, right, is a blue state. They're never going to elect a Republican again to a statewide office. New York, it's more or less a blue state.
Yeah, blue state.
Illinois. Yeah,
Virginia's a swing state.
So Virginia's a swing state. So all your swing states, referred to as purple states, right?
Right.
That's just it's a meld of those two colors. Yeah.
So my whole thing though is red or blue. If you put your arms up, you have a right wing, a left wing, but they connect to the same bird.
Right. Right.
So they really work together at the end of the day.
Yep.
And I think they give a lot of people an illusion of what to believe and what they're going to do. But end of the day, red or blue, whatever, they haven't really so much helped any of us. And they just keep dividing us and make people fight. And that's what I don't like.
Well, that leads into the government shutdown. The thing is, they just can't get along and see eye to eye. So, and why are we in a government shutdown right now? And I did not know this, that this is the third time the government is shut down with Trump in office.
But it happened like 20 times with Reagan. Jimmy Carter had happened. Here's the thing.
I did all
the longest shutdown ever.
Yeah, this is the longest, of course, but of course it happened with Trump his first term, in 2018 and just for 3 days, and in 2018-19 for 35 days.
Obama had a
and then now
Bush had a shutdown.
They've all did. And Chris, you can, Wes, you can speak on this because why we're shut down, and so people understand.
So I mean, what you have is an impasse right now, really over two issues. It really boils down for the most part to two issues. So Republicans, then this goes back, what do we have? Day like 38 or 40 or something like that. So 40 days ago or so, you basically have budget conferees, right? You have a budget staff, you have budget conferees. Republicans say, hey, these are our priorities. These are the things we want in the budget, or these are the things we want cut from the budget. Typically, what Republicans will come forth with. Democrats saying, hey, these are the things that we want in the budget, or maybe we want to cut the budget too. And those conferees all come together and they sort of. So back 40 days ago, or however many days ago, basically a budget needed to be passed. And Republicans said, let's pass a continuing resolution. What a continuing resolution does, it simply funds government. Everything's funded at the exact rate that it was funded at the previous year. It just sort of continues all that funding at the same level, no increase, no decrease. And they said, let's just pass a clean CR or clean a continuing resolution that will give those budget conferees an extra 6 weeks up until November the 15th to kind of figure out this budget thing and see if we can come to some agreement. And ultimately, November 16th, we'll pass something and everything will go back to normal. Well, Democrats kind of dug in on one particular issue, and that one issue is called the EPTC, the Enhanced Premium Tax Credit, which is an insurance tax credit that folks get to purchase healthcare on the health exchanges. So you have Obamacare, which is the federal health exchange, but then each state has their own individual healthcare exchange too. At least most states do. I think 35 to 50 do. And what this premium was, the premium was passed back at the beginning of COVID. It was passed only by Democrats. Not a single Republican voted for it. And when they passed it, I think, with a 3.5-year lifespan. And at the end of that 3.5 years, that tax credit was supposed to expire. And that's exactly what's happened. That tax credit is expiring. And because it's expiring, what folks saw on November 1st when premium rate notices went out. So basically, if you buy health insurance off of your state exchange, you get to shop for plans. You can have, the gold plan, the bronze plan, platinum plan, whatever plan you want for you or you and your wife, or you and your wife and kids. And that tax credit was basically given to folks that were 400% over poverty level. Basically, income 400% over what they call FPL, the poverty level, so federal poverty level.
Right.
Well, without that tax credit now, what folks are seeing is that their insurance premiums are going up 20%, 40%, 60%, 75%. So figure, a family of four that was paying out of pocket each month $700 for their, health insurance policy. Now they're paying $1,800, $2,000 a month, which they can't afford, right? I mean,
right.
So what are they going to do? So Democrats are saying we've got to extend this healthcare tax credit. Republicans are saying we never voted for the tax credit, and we weren't the ones who created it and made it end in 3.5 years. That was also Democrats of your own doing. We didn't support this thing, 4 years ago. We're not going to support this thing again. Let's just pass this clean continuing resolution. Let's just talk about the budget. Maybe we'll negotiate a one-year extension or a 3-year extension. Democrats pretty much want a never-ending extension of that tax credit. And Democrats just refuse to say, no, we're digging in. This is it. Unless this continuing resolution includes an extension of this tax credit, we're not even going to talk to you. We're not going to talk to you about a clean bill or a continuing resolution. So it's really those two things that are really have the two at loggerheads. I mean, the real issue with regard to the EPTC, it's the cost of healthcare, guys. The cost of healthcare is just way too much. I mean, it shouldn't cost as much as it does. Health insurance shouldn't cost what it does. Health care shouldn't cost what it does.
Hey, I'm one that should be free. That's just how I feel. And other countries do it, but to get people on board for that, I don't want to pay for somebody else. But you're getting taxed for other shit you bitch about, So what would you rather get taxed? Your health care come out of your, you know what I mean? Or
so I
all
love
these
that you bring that up because,
Go ahead.
of course, healthcare should be free for everybody, no matter what land we live on, because that's the one biggest necessity besides food and water, right?
Right.
And then, if we're talking about the government shutdown, Chris, the government's not shut down. Because if it was shut down, we would not still be getting taxed. But we are.
Somebody just said
so
that.
So then it's not all the way shut down. So that's my biggest thing. Like, it's shut down to a certain extent. But there's ways they keep it open for what they want to keep it open for. Is that correct?
Well, there's certainly subcommittees and committees and commissions that are all still meeting. There still are people going to work. But I mean, I take the point of, the government's been shut down for, 40 days now. And has your life really been impacted? Have you really has anything
because
changed?
They're still taxing my check.
I mean, you're right. They are, because those folks are still going to be paid, back pay. There are still, you think about the airports, right? All those TSA workers have still been coming to work every single day for the past 38 days. I know.
Hey, Chris,
a lot of them are going out sick.
I mean, I don't know if everybody's going to get paid because Trump done came out and said he's going to pick and choose who he's going to pay. But
Yeah, but they're using it. Trump is using it as an opportunity to shrink the size of government. No doubt about it. But yeah, I mean, you think of our military, right? I mean, all those guys are going to get their back pay. So that's why taxes are for the most part being collected. Not to say that again, I'm certainly one that thinks the size of the federal government can be absolutely reduced. I was a fan of what Doge was doing. Some of the stuff that they were.
What about the U.S. government supposed shutdown having something to do with 10% of the 40 biggest airports in the world today canceling flights and having to change everything else up with their flights?
Well, again, that's because you've got people that have been coming to work, like air traffic controllers and TSA
that are no longer coming because they're not getting paid.
Well, they're not getting paid. So it's like, man, I got rent coming due, right? I'm going to go drive an Uber until the government kicks back in and I know my paycheck's coming. I got to do something where I can earn money to pay my bills. My bills aren't going to stop coming. My mortgage isn't going to stop being due. So, yeah, they're in a position now where they've probably exhausted what savings they had in the bank. Most folks don't keep too much in the bank that could cover them for a month or 6 weeks, 2 months if all of a sudden they lost their job or weren't getting paid. I mean, it's kind of the worst of both worlds. You still have your job and you're still going to work every day, but you're not getting paid for it, which is terrible. But yeah, I mean, that's absolutely. So I mean, that's why it's really going to cramp. And my gosh, man, if this thing extends into Thanksgiving, imagine the nightmare that week's going to be from a travel standpoint, anywhere in this country with these different got control. TSA just not coming into work.
And I think
can the government shutdown cause a martial law eventually?
I mean, I don't think things will get that bad. I mean, you've got pretty much only the federal employees, for the most part, are the ones that are truly being directly impacted. Not to say that the rest of us are indirectly. I don't think no. I think you're going to see martial law declared, here in this country, unless something.
Well, really that's also a good reason that the judge or whatever blocked him stop and snap and all these things for the less underprivileged people to have, and they needed their benefits, so to speak. The judge blocked it, or it would have stopped on the first. And that could have caused chaos, especially around the holidays towards the end of the year and each end of the month when there's nobody to have bills or food. But obviously the judge blocked it. But this could also lead to me, I'm thinking, Chris, there will be no presidential election in 2028 if Trump can continue to go the way he really would like it to go.
No, I don't. I think there would probably be as many, if not more, on the GOP side that would rise up against that than there would be even on the Democrats. So yeah, there's going to be a third term. He would lose whatever legacy he had with those two people in the Republican Party that's still supporting and following kind of blindly. I think if he tried to do that, that would just be a really, not to say he wouldn't do that, right? I mean,
he doesn't want to leave office.
Yeah. I get it. Where he's coming from.
He's going to do the same thing. I'm calling it. And my dad, my dad, rest in peace, but he called it his first term. He told me months before, he's like, that guy's not going to leave the White House. And there went January, and he's going to do the same thing. He's not going to leave. He's going to refuse to leave the fucking White House. Let's keep it real. We know this.
Yeah, I think J.D. Vance would have something to say about that. I'm sure he's the president himself. So, yeah, I mean, look, you can't put anything past, Donald Trump, no doubt. But I think I don't think there's any way, shape, or form. I think, you want to bring that right wing and left wing together and form that same bird. Let Trump attempt that. You're going to see a lot of Republicans push back against that.
Well, I surely hope so. But we'll see when that time comes. But I'm sure you heard it here first. It's going to be an instant replay, if not worse.
What's the next project you got coming up, Chris, that you're working on?
Oh gosh, we got all kinds of fun projects that we're working on. We're doing a lot of stuff in healthcare. One I'll share with you. Might find of interest to your listeners here. So I think even before the results of Tuesday's election, I think that you're going to see one of the bigger pieces of legislation that's going to come out of Virginia's next legislative session, which again starts in January and runs through March of 2026. I think you're going to see Virginia finally pass full-scale marijuana legalization. So I think you're going to see That officially passed. Will no more be limited to just for medicinal purposes, and really a very specific medicinal purpose like we have here now. I think you're going to see full retail. I think it'll be interesting to see how many licenses they ultimately issue. From what I hear, it's going to be somewhere around, Virginia's a control state, right, from a liquor standpoint. So you know how you can buy beer and wine in the grocery store, but you got to go to an ABC store, right, to buy liquor. Well, similar to that, you're going to see. I kind of look at CBD and hemp as sort of like the beer and wine, and marijuana as sort of the liquor. You're going to see probably a similar number of licenses to the number of ABC stores we have in Virginia, which is around 400, 420, I think, no pun intended. Number of licenses issued here in Virginia. And you'll see, cannabis stores on, pretty much not every corner, but at least one corners in each intersection.
It boomed this economy. It's been legal here for like 4 years now. The economy has super jumped.
Right.
Yeah. I think
where it used to be so many restaurants and stores now, especially in Manhattan, once they closed down for whatever reason from the pandemic and all the way to just, things are expensive, it's been a lot of CBDC and so-called THC and weed stores open up, and the economy has really done, and they've flourished because of it.
Yeah, and I think you'll see that here in Virginia now too. Virginia, it's kind of odd. Our marijuana policy, we have a very the federal government, as we all know, like thinks marijuana should be totally and completely legal, and it is in the eyes of the federal government. In Virginia, it's somewhat lax because we do have a medical marijuana here in Virginia. We've got basically 5 licenses, 5 dispensaries geographically dispersed around the state. But on the hemp front in Virginia, hemp and CBD, we've got some pretty restrictive laws here in Virginia. As a matter of fact, the ratio of CBD and hemp products that we can sell in Virginia are unlike anywhere else in the country. So it's very hard for hemp manufacturers, hemp farmers here in Virginia to really struggle. We've lost over 1,000 hemp farmers here in the state over the past couple of years because of a law that passed back in 2023. So Virginia's kind of completely flip-flopped, right? The federal government thinks hemp and CBD is completely fine, but yet Virginia really chose to crack down on hemp and CBD, which doesn't make any sense. And the federal government thinks that marijuana should be totally illegal, but Virginia's like, we can have some legal marijuana here in Virginia through medicinal license. Again, I think that's all going to change. You'll see a little bit more of alignment on the hemp CBD front next year, and then you're going to see again a full retail market here in Virginia. So that will pass next year. That likely will go into effect either July 1 or January 1, probably of 2027. You'll see again about 400 licenses probably issued. And again, you'll see a full retail market. Obviously, there's taxes for that. So it'll be taxed, and hopefully that will get rid of some of the black market, probably create a little bit of a gray market, if you will, here.
So one of our guests is saying a spam burger for retail sales. I guess you probably answered that question.
Yeah, I think she'll be supportive of it. I mean, Democrats will certainly be supportive of it. I think, and there's even a number of Republicans in the state of Virginia that are for marijuana legalization. So, I think there's going to be plenty of support to get at least one bill. Will probably be 5 or 6, 7, 8 different versions of a bill submitted next year, and I'm sure one of those will pass, or 2 or 3 of those will merge and ultimately form the full retail legislation here in Virginia. So that's certainly going to change Virginia, I think, quite a bit. And, to catch us up, I think it's 28 other states right now, 30 other states right now that have retail markets.
Nice. Yeah, that'll definitely help the state. That's all I gotta say. It'll definitely help.
So that'll be big. Energy's going to be another big one. Virginia right now, we import about 40% of our power. We're fortunate because we're next to West Virginia, who exports about 40% of theirs. But with the data center boom, in Northern Virginia, a big gap between demand for energy here in the state and what we supply here internally in the state. So you're going to see probably a lot of energy-related legislation probably next year pop up as well.
So you speak energy, right? So does that mean the electrical company will have competition?
Funny you mentioned that. So there is a deregulation bill that's going to probably come up next year, which will be interesting to see. So right now, Virginia, for the most part, is dominated by dominated power. They've got a couple independent power producers here in the Commonwealth, but the rates are set by the State Corporation Commission. that basically say, Dominion can only charge X, and that X includes, obviously a little bit of money for them to make a profit each and every year. There's a bill that's going to deregulate Virginia, which will allow pretty much what I think is going to be very, very similar to like a Texas-style deregulation bill, which is going to create just a ton of middlemen. You've got 100 different power companies in the state of Texas. None of them really produce power. Again, they're just kind of that middleman between the consumer and the power generators themselves. It's probably something similar to that here in Virginia. Power is certainly a big issue. Demand is a big issue. Transmission right now is a big issue. Generation is an even bigger issue. We need to develop more generation. What's that going to be? It's not going to be coal-fired plants, right? It's going to be natural gas-fired plants, maybe small nuclear reactors. It's really tough right now at the local level to get wind or solar approved. Battery storage is on the rise. I think here in Virginia, that's sort of a good sort of middle solution, if you will. Start taking some of the power that we already have that, in the hours of the day that we're not using it, like when you're asleep, right? You're not running, your AC and your oven and your washer and your dryer, right? There's the extra power out there on the grid, so we could store that in batteries. So the next morning when we all wake up and we all turn the lights on, we all start cooking breakfast and we all start getting ready for work, right? And then pump that stored energy back into the grid. So batteries are growing right now, but that's going to be another big issue, I think, this year in the upcoming year.
I just want a cheaper bill. That's it. Period. Way cheaper.
Yeah. More competition, right? Competition should drive down the cost. But,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like they got a monopoly basically on this, Shenandoah Valley Electric.
You're competing for the same electrons that Amazon is and Facebook is, with their data centers up in Northern Virginia. That's what we like to tell folks, especially like in Frederick County right now. Frederick County, you've got a lot of transmission projects that are being proposed, and folks think that, oh my gosh, all this transmission's coming in so we can feed Loudoun County, right? So we can feed Prince William and Fairfax County with more energy. Electrons aren't earmarked. There's not a name tag on an electron. It doesn't say that, hey, electron coming from the power plant in Pennsylvania, I've got to go to Tony Dinge's house, and I'm going to wait until Tony Dinge flips that light switch on to power that light bulb, right? Electron immediately to whomever is requesting them the closest and the most immediate. They don't just stay up there and wait for someone 300 miles down the line to request that electron. So it's a great for Virginia. It strengthens the grid here in Frederick County, I think, and it's a good thing from an economic development standpoint. It allows potentially Winchester and Frederick County to bring in some more high energy intensive uses, like advanced manufacturing, which is great paying jobs, the data centers themselves, which is print revenue from a revenue standpoint, which would keep your property taxes low, your car tax low there in the county, which would certainly be a good thing to help, renovate schools, would help build roads, help pay your public safety, give folks more money, all that good stuff can come from additional revenue.
Right. So, Chris, I don't know if you want to mention it, but do you want to mention the casino Winchester is proposing?
There was down there on October the 20th in Richmond. Folks from Winchester did propose exploring the idea of a casino in the city. So again, it comes back to Winchester and Frederick County are the fastest growing areas in the Commonwealth of Virginia for 5 years straight. You've got a lot of people moving in. You got a lot of homes that are being built by right. You got a lot of homes that were approved a decade ago that are now being built. You have more people moving into your locality. That is a larger stress on public safety, right? Your police, fire, and rescue are answering more calls. It's a bigger stress on your education system. You got more kids in classrooms now.
Right.
It's a bigger stress on your road infrastructure. You got more cars on the road. It means you've got to fix roads. You've got to widen roads. You've got to build new roads. So money's got to come somewhere to provide for those renovations to facilities, or you saw Frederick County just approved building a fourth high school. That money's got to come from somewhere. Now it's going to come from one of two sources. It's either going to come from property taxes, which is you, the individual, paying more money, or it's going to come from your commercial and industrial sectors paying business taxes. And so business needs to grow in Frederick County and in the city of Winchester. In the city of Winchester's case, they're landlocked, right? You don't have these big green pastures of fields out there that, just waiting for the next craft or the next Crown Cork and Steel or the next Hood
Right.
Dairy come and develop. City of Winchester doesn't have that. City of Winchester has no greenfields left. City of Winchester also has, I believe it's 25% of the property in the city of Winchester is owned by non-tax paying entities. That's Shenandoah University, that's Valley Health System, that's nonprofits. Think of all the churches in the city of Winchester. They don't pay property taxes, right? So all of a sudden you're losing 25% of your tax base there. And just think there's no major industry in the city of Winchester. You used to have ABEX, that's gone. Still got O'Sullivan that's there. National Fruit's there to a smaller effect. I'm not sure that business is growing, but you used to have a couple of major employers within the city limit. You don't really have that anymore. So all those things combine to create a situation where the city has to do something, right, to create revenue. Because if it's not creating revenue through commercial or industrial means, it's going to be coming to every resident, increasing your property taxes. They've got to pay the bills. Winchester's going vertical now, right? You've seen a lot of apartment complexes get approved recently. 3-story, 4-story, more residents that are moving in there. Frederick County is exploding from a population standpoint. They've got to do something too. Again, where's the revenue going to come from? People don't like change. I'm getting to that age now, man, where I don't like it either. Right.
Right.
I'm in town and I'm driving around and I remember, something used to be there 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and now it's something that's new and ugly and modern. I'm like, oh man, that doesn't fit this town. That doesn't go there. But change is inevitable. Right. And change happens, and folks have to realize again, you've got one of only two places where revenue is going to come from. It's either your pocket or it's business and industry's pocket. So you're either going to support. If you're there saying, hey, I don't want whatever it might be. Maybe it's a casino. Maybe it's a convention center. Maybe it's who knows, Top Golf. It could be anything coming to town.
Right. You
don't think that fits, the mold of Winchester, and we want to keep it this little historic town. Then you better be prepared to pay more in property taxes. That's your two choices. So.
Right. Well, Chris, I guess we'll wrap this up, man. It was good having you. We're going on an hour now. But it's great having you on and being insightful, and we'll have you back on again, to speak on that casino in the future, because I know in other plans in Winchester, because obviously you're the man to go to on everything.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's fun, man. It's just as fun. Frederick County's fun. Again, it's a growing area, and there's a lot of change. There's a lot of growth.
Now, one thing that comes up to is, would Winchester ever build another high school? Since you brought
another high school. No.
Yeah. Because you say,
I see it.
There's no land or anything to put anything. And if we keep growing, right, we're going up, more populated. Just in your opinion, would there be another high school?
I think you're just going to see another extension, of probably Hanley, back up there on the hill or something. And again, Winchester is landlocked.
Right.
And that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing in that the population can only increase so much.
Right.
So much area for which it can be redeveloped. What you've seen with the new apartments, where have they come? You got them coming in Montgomery Ward Plaza, right? So Montgomery Ward hadn't been anything for 20 years. So that's been redeveloped. It was out there, Zero Pack, right? Zero Pack sat vacant for 2 decades. So
Right.
that's been redeveloped. You've got the ABEX property in town. That could certainly become, some sort of mixed-use development potentially, although there's some environmental issues on that parcel. You've got Apple Blossom Mall. Something's got to happen out there. I mean, that mall has been dead for 20 years, right? So that could turn into a bunch of apartments, I guess as well, potentially. But for the most part, the city's landlocked. And the other thing that's just a national phenomenon, and that just goes to the country as a whole, student body increases are decreasing pretty much everywhere. So you're seeing a lot of localities, especially larger localities, are closing schools right now. They're not building schools. Now, Frederick County is certainly in a unique position because they've got so much room to grow. They got plenty of acres, plenty of farms out there that are being bought up. Again, I think the last number I heard was around 14,000. So, today, 14,000 homes could be built in Frederick County without any of us having any input whatsoever. They've either already been approved or they could be built by right. Well, 14,000 homes, that's another 25, 30,000 people that can pop up in Frederick County tomorrow. Yeah. And again, where's the money going to come from to support the additional teachers. 30,000 people probably have 5,000 extra kids, right? There's another high school
Right.
here, or another elementary school. That's
Yeah.
another a couple hundred sheriff's deputies, and a couple other EMS people, and a couple hundred firefighters, and so again, growth costs money, and the tools that they have available. Especially Winchester, Frederick County is more or less a somewhat Republican leaning area, and you've got a Democrat controlled state legislature. You think they're going to come to Winchester's rescue or Frederick County's rescue? Hell,
Yeah.
so again,
Right.
you've got to find a way to do it on your own. And now you put a lot of pressure on the economic development folks in the city of Winchester and Frederick County to come up with solutions to again, keep property taxes low but yet still grow the revenue side of the ledger there for the county and for the city.
Right. So hey man, Chris, I appreciate you having on. Very insightful. So I appreciate you coming on, supporting us, and you're welcome anytime to jump back on.
Yeah, sounds good, man. I appreciate it, y'all.
It's been a pleasure. Chris. Wish you the best, my man.
Yeah, good luck up there, man. And good luck, Tony. I've been loving watching Christian, man. Loving you posting all those videos.
Thanks.
And you were, I know, hitting at Fort Union or maybe Penn, who knows? But man, it's great to watch him play. He reminds me of I remember when I was in middle school. We used to what was the guy's name? Morgan.
Clarence Morgan.
Clarence Morgan.
He was like the only guy.
John and Jason Morgan.
Nice.
You got it, man. He reminds me of him, and just the ease at which he could throw that thing down, man. And it's just crazy the amount of just sheer talent now that's coming through on all sports: football, baseball, basketball, through Hanley right now. It used to be, once every 10 years you got some kid that would break through, and it seems like you got 10 kids every year now.
Yeah.
Bro, we got to shout out Stephen Daly.
Right.
Stephen Daly, number 2 country team in the country, Indiana, man. He went to Hanley just a few years ago, played with Tony's son, Chris Quincy. Man, Chris, no lie, he might go in the first 3 rounds in the NFL draft this year.
That's crazy.
That would be awesome. That would be great. But yeah, Chris, hey man, I appreciate the love, for my son and everything, and I'll send you a schedule. Come out to some basketball games.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Let me know if you're an agent, man. I'll be his agent.
All right. Well, we'll see. You never know. All right, Chris, enjoy that home, man. Enjoy your night.
Thank you all. You have a good evening.
Yep. All right, talk to you later. All right, everyone. That was Chris West. Glad he could join us, man. That dude knows everything in and out of Winchester. So, but let's give a few shout outs, Chris. We'll jump off here. We got Thursday night football. But shout out again to Zaydon Burks doing his thing. Hopefully he gets 2,000 yards rushing this year. Well, I think he'll easily get it. And maybe lead the state in what you said be top 10 all time.
He could have one of the top 10 regular season rushing regular seasons of all time, and he's close. So yeah,
right. So we just shouted out Stephen Daly. He's doing big things at Indiana University, a Hanley alum. So and then also I don't want to forget Javon Briscoe. Congrats, committed to Potomac State for basketball.
Yeah, over there in Kaiser.
Yep. So hey, man. So everyone, hey, thanks for joining in. And, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on all platforms.
Shout out to the UVA boys, man. They playing well.
UVA killing it, baby. Hopefully we make the playoffs. We'll see. We'll see. They're going to probably win the ACC championship to make it, to get in there. But yeah,
when it comes to college basketball, I mean, I would love for all y'all to like my school, but don't y'all start riding us now because Kyan Anthony's over there.
Right.
Y'all didn't like us. Y'all stick with Michigan and Georgetown and whoever y'all like, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, excited to have Kyan, man. His dad won us our only national championship for basketball. So that's exciting. But yeah, man, your UVA Wahoos is playing ball, man. They might make the 12 playoff team along with Steven and Indiana.
Right. But all right, everybody. Hey, we're going to get off of here. We'll see everybody next week. And I'm not sure who we're going to have on next week. We'll find somebody.
Yeah, we got them, but we ain't going to tell them right now.
Yeah, we got them.
We'll let them know next Tuesday or Wednesday, man.
Yeah. All right, Chris. I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Yes,
but
sir.
everybody, thanks for
tuning in. Opinions, big voice, no
silence. Get better, Zaydon.
Televised, ain't no good in private. Not knowledge to the ignorant, ain't never been bliss. Stand up and be heard. We the new activists, yeah. Brothers with opinion, let the convo begin. You know communication key, but then you must comprehend. Preach, B.W.O, let your voices be heard. We enlightened by the truth and now we spreading the word. Let's go. How do we learn to live when we conditioned to die? Most people fail before they start because they don't ever try. Man, they told us we was worthless, we believed in the lie. We took it way too literal when Big said ready to die. You know the KKK turned the cops in disguise. Man, a lot done changed, but race still applies. 5-0, hands up, don't even ask why. Trayvon, Mike Brown, man, another mother's cry. Hey, B.W.O,